What's happening? This is Ryan Dawkins, and you're tuning in to The LOFT.
Has brought out the best of me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The LOFT. If you guys are in here, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're not new, welcome back. Today I have a very, very special guest for a lot of reasons. One, his business mind. Two, the food that he's crafted and created. My designated Uber Eats order, CEO and founder of Honeygrow, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Rosenberg. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, a huge fan of Honeygrow, the food, and also too, like I said, I'm a huge fan of people who can run a business, and I love learning about businesses and learning about how it started, why it started, how it's growing. Like I'm all into that. So I'd love to pick your brain as well as your story. I'm sure not many people know your story because, the product speaks for itself, and
Appreciate that.
and crafting that together. And yeah, I feel like it'll be good for myself, but also some of the people who watch, listen, and enjoy Honeygrow, who Justin Rosenberg is and how it started and why it started. And, I got so many questions, but first off, I want to ask, how you doing? How's your day?
My day's good, man. How are you?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about your schedule and everything you got going on, and it sounds like you're a very extremely busy man and focusing on the scaling and everything like that. So I want to first start off. Where did you start? Where did you grow up at? Where you from?
So I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island originally, and my passion's always kind of been food and music. Those are two things that I always coach people. Like, you got to find what you're really passionate about, and you're willing to kind of do whatever it takes to make that come alive. If you're not really passionate about it, I think it'll be easier for you to quit, right? Like, you really got to stick with something. My passion's always been food and music. So I wound up going to Penn State undergrad, State College. I was a history major, Spanish minor. Kind of was being geared towards going to law school for my parents, and my passion is not the law. So, I was just kind of like, that's not necessarily what I want to do. I moved to Philly in 2004. So I've been here for now for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And coming 20 in May. And I worked at Frankfurt Chocolate in South Philadelphia, which was a factory. They moved to Northeast, right by the airport, actually. So really cool job. Then eventually got into real estate and went up going to Temple at night for my MBA in finance. I really knew I had a deficit on finance. So I was like, all right, I'm a creative. I'm, did liberal arts stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
I don't know crap about this finance stuff. So went up doing that at night, and I went up getting a job as a financial analyst before I had my MBA. Talked my way into getting that job at Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust, and work with some really good people, and just head down for 5.5 years just working. Wow. So that was the beginning.
And it sounds like you have such a unique background, which I think is great, because I find is like, when you throw stuff at the wall, you just see what sticks, and then once something lands. And when did you find out? Like, when did Honeygrow even like start? Like, how did the first thought even happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. Like, again, like, my passion has been food, and like, again, growing up in New York, like, you have access to almost everything, right? Like, you can go to Flushing, Queens, and have the best Chinese food of your life. You can go to Manhattan, have incredible fine dining experiences. You can have debates about pizza and bagels and all that. Like, it's just all there, right? And Philly is the same. Like, Philly is just an incredible food scene. So I just always loved that. And my grandfather actually was involved with some food critic stuff. He was a business owner in Brooklyn, but I used to go with him as a kid and taste food at various restaurants like in Astoria and Brooklyn, and really got an appreciation for the little things with food. And on top of that, when I went to Penn State, there was a Mongolian barbecue that was like $8 all you can eat. Put a bunch of stuff in a bowl, and they put on a flat top grill. I'm like, this is genius. And then when I was older, in my mid-20s, I actually had some health issues. I wound up weighing an unhealthy 240. I wasn't lifting or anything like that. I just was eating. Yeah. And went to the doctor. We just had our first kid, and the doctor said to me, thank you. Well,
at that point,
now she's 15. Yeah. So, she, the doctor's just like, look, your blood work is horrible. It's like, if you want to see, your daughter walk down the aisle when she gets married, you got to get your life in order. So scared me, didn't want to jump on crazy medicine, and wound up reading a book called The China Study by T. Colin Campbell, which really promoted the idea of plant-based eating. And I wound up going vegan for 2 years. I'm definitely not as vegan, though.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent for eating mostly plants, like vegetables. And,
Yeah.
I think Mark Pollan said it, but Mike Pollan, I'm brain dead today, but I'm paraphrasing, but you want to eat real food, not too much of it, mostly plants, in that order.
Yeah.
I think that order, but that's kind of how I lived my life, but reversed all my stuff. Was making salads for lunch, the stuff I had prepped left over at night and from my fridge, put into a wok at home with some soba noodles. And that was kind of like, wow, like no one's really doing this. When I worked at Preet, they own a bunch of shopping malls. So I would see all the sales information for tenants. So I'd see like Chick-fil-A doing unreal numbers and beating anchors.
Right.
They're only open 6 days a week. I'm like, what are these guys doing? And some of my other favorite brands like Nike, Nike.
Yeah.
Reebok's a great brand, but more inspired by Nike. By the way, read Shoe Dog if you haven't, which is one of the greatest.
What is it?
Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, founder of Nike. Like one of the greatest like entrepreneur books you could read.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like Nike, not to digress, but like Nike really, for the first, I think he founded the company. It's called Blue Ribbon in like, I don't know, call it early 60s. They IPO'd in the early 80s. Like that battle of almost 20 years for him to really make this company work. It was like every year there was another catastrophe and problem. It's just very relatable as an entrepreneur, like the ups and downs of this life. But so like those brands always inspired me. And again, like why is the Apple Store doing $4,000, $5,000 a square foot? What is it about these brands? So wrote a business plan, again, thinking about there's opportunity. I don't want to be another burger concept or Mexican concept. Fast casual wasn't a big thing back then. There's some salad concepts. I don't want to be a salad concept. Like we are a stir fry concept at the end of the day. We're create your own made to order stir fry concept. So wrote the business plan. I always advise, like if you have ideas, write it down. Like I always tell it's aspiring entrepreneurs, take accounting 101. Like my afternoon is going to be going over a P&L and balance sheet and going over stuff with my finance guy and my team. You got to know your numbers, right? So I always coach on that. But yeah, wrote a business plan and kind of off to the races.
Interesting. And it's funny because when I went to Temple, I actually started off as an entrepreneurship major. Yeah. And I was just in economics and I'm like, wow, this is not for me.
Same.
Switched to media and production. But then something like I'm sure you found is like when you're starting a business, like you have to learn these things and like, especially in the beginning and continuing as you obviously scale. And so where did the name Honeygrow come from? How did you concept that?
Yeah, I'll just preface with the college thing. When I was an undergrad, I originally was a business major and I got a D in accounting. I just didn't go to class. I was like, this sucks. I don't need to know this.
Yeah.
And then when I applied to Temple, they're like, everything looks really good for grad school. They're like, but you got to get that D up. And this is 4 years later. So I went to take accounting and loved it. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. So like timing of life, where I was at thinking, and accounting is key to business. So the name Honeygrow comes from a play on words of honest eating and growing local. So it's kind of a amalgam of words. I wanted a name that really made almost no sense, but made sense. Kind of an esoteric meaning. Again, Nike, Starbucks,
right,
Reebok, Adidas, like great brands that have stood the test of time. Apple, right? Like, what does that have to do with a computer or your iPhone? But it's you think Apple, you're thinking of your Apple Watch, whatever. Honeygrow, honestly, growing local. Everything's made fresh to order. You see everything being made to order. The growing local, I originally thought I could buy all local, and then you realize you can't buy like bananas from Lancaster. So we buy as local as possible. Nice.
That's really cool. And where did the first one start? And how did you start? Was it out of like a food truck, or were you able to open up a shop? Like how did it start?
Yeah. So crazy story. I wound up writing the business plan, and this is 2010, 2009, 2010, and I wound up knowing like if I'm going to get this thing launched, I'm going to have to find equity partners. I'm going to have to like find people who are the banks aren't going to lend to me. I had no assets. I was living in an apartment with my wife. Like this is, I was maxing out credit cards to do this. And I was spending money on like lawyer fees to set, the stuff up and architectural rendering so I could show investors what this would look like. And quickly I spent like $25,000. So it really was beginning to go up and traveling. I was traveling to DC, working in a restaurant for a buddy of mine on the weekends to really learn cooking. And it was not a fast casual. It was more of like a real casual dining restaurant. Like how do I really, do this? And come back, take the mega bus back up on Sundays and just be tired, be angry and work. But nobody's like, why is this guy so grumpy? It's like, yeah, I was just fucking doing, dinner shift. I was like tired. But yeah, I wound up giving myself 2 years to get funded. I'm like, if I can't get funded by the end of 2011, I'm going to move back to New York and I'll be in finance. I'll do fine. Not what I wanted to do. My passion's always that scaling a business I'm passionate about, especially on the food side and the people side. And I pitched 94 people over that 24-month period. And very humbling period of my life when someone pitches you with their heart and soul, have some patience with that person. I was meeting with people, anyone with a pulse. I would just network like crazy, which is definitely out of my comfort zone. And most people are just like, kid, fuck off. Like, this is restaurants don't work. Facebook just IPO'd and they're just like, you came to me saying there's technology involved here. Like, I want to see Facebook. And I'm like, there's ordering kiosks. Like, that's the tech. Like, I'm not saying I'm a tech company. Like, we're a restaurant company. So I finally met a guy who partners with Steven Starr, big restaurateur here in Philly, New York, Miami. David Robkin, he was the 94th guy that I pitched and definitely was running out of steam. Was tired, was angry. I used to wear a suit to work all the time so I can go pitch people. Yeah. My job definitely thought I was interviewing, but I was interviewing investors, so they were interviewing me. And finally I had a yes. So that was April 2011.
Wow, congrats. So he said yes, and then that's the 94th person. How many investors did you have to start?
So it was him, and then he brought on a guy named Brooke Lenfest. So those were the two original investors in the concept.
Yeah, it's crazy. And during that process, during that humbling process, is there anything you've like learned about like yourself and like, as an entrepreneur, as someone who wanted to just start something so bad? Is there anything you picked up or learned about yourself in that point?
That's a good question. I think, probably one of my strongest skill set is resilience. Like, I really have that ability that when things suck, I could really push through it hard. A lot of people, when you're starting a business, will see, if you were to like say, hey, this is all going to happen to you along the way, I think a lot of people are going to be like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is not good. I'm really good at like, being in tough positions and pushing through, and I almost enjoy it. Definitely, I think probably awesome. I'm learning I'm good at that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For better, for worse.
Yeah. I mean, obviously for better. I mean, look how far you've gotten, and it's interesting because like, like I said, like I started a Couple to 5 like 4 months ago, and like and I can kind of relate in a way to where like you see resilience when it's like, like I said, for example, like the Dallas tailgate, I had someone like trying to completely take my spot over. I had all this money invested, boombox, all this shit. And I was like, and Trevor was there. Shout out Trevor Curran from Forged.
Get your ass back in jiu-jitsu, Trevor.
Get back in the gym. And like, so it was like his first tailgate coming out to see us and like to learn whether or not he wants to stay with us or whatever. And like, he just saw like how much I was like, dude, you were get the fuck out of my space. Like how much I kept. And it was our biggest and best tailgate. And
that's awesome.
And that's like, obviously on a very smaller scale, but like I can like sympathize and learn where it's like, you're going to get tested and like the resilience is like going to be everything. And when you had the investors and you got started, how long did it take before you really told yourself like, wow, like I really have something here. Like this is like like when the momentum started to really shift for yourself, because obviously you're doing pitches and getting told no for all this time. And then eventually like the fruits of your labor are starting to be seen. When did you really start to see that?
I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm not just saying that for like, saying I feel we're not there yet, right? Like we have a long way to go. There's been ups and downs along the way, and thank God we're in a good spot. But like, I never, you want to feel pleasant but not fully satisfied. I'm not sapufied. So we got a long way to go. We're opening up 14, 15 restaurants next year, or this year, I should say. We're pushing like crazy, but growth isn't for growth's sake. It's really a passion for customer experience, but the food's great, and being able to build awesome teams with great GMs and doing that over and over and over again, I think is really what we need to do. So, just pushing. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what has been your what's been a huge plus that you've seen when starting a business and like, and getting involved in this? Because like I said, like you said, you started like a history major and then you were doing all these different things. And when you finally found that thing, like what have you loved like the most about the process?
I think I'm around really smart people, and like I learn a lot from them, and like from the mistakes you make, and just you keep moving forward. And mistakes are like nuggets along the way. It's like cool, like gold nuggets, not like maybe chicken nuggets. I don't know, but like
Whatever you're into.
yeah, whatever works, man. But like it's like you take that and you roll with it, and it makes you better and better. So I think that like that constant development is awesome. I've worked with some great people. I've worked with some shitty fucking people. I have a tendency to be too loyal sometimes, and I've learned that about myself too, and that got me in trouble, holding on to people I shouldn't have along the way. But like you're not going to be the same person as you were as when you start. Like if you're really committed to doing this and going the distance and really kind of getting to that goal, and that's key, by the way. Like you really need to have the end in mind, right? Another classic book, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I mean, I recommend that to all entrepreneurs. Like you really want that end in mind, and like everything else is kind of like the means to get there. Again, like just how do you do that, right? Like how do you really get there? And I promise you as an entrepreneur, it's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but you got to just keep your eye on the target.
Yeah. I've been seeing the end in sight, and one of the ends, one of the major goals I have is to open up a Club 215 somewhere in Philly or the surrounding area, and just keep recreating that atmosphere every weekend. I'm a DJ as well, so I love the nightlife. I love that stuff. So, and being able to find different ways to incorporate all the people I meet along the way, to me, is something I would find so cool.
It's awesome.
I actually have a question about loyalty as well, because that is something that that's definitely been on my mind a lot recently. And when you're loyal to people and they hurt you, or they go against your loyalty, or they betray you in some kind of way, how do you get through? Because I personally beat myself up over it a lot, and then it makes me like not want to be that person that is loyal and caring to everyone, but like I realize that changes who I am.
Sure.
How have you gotten past that a lot? Because you have people who either take advantage of your trust or betray it. How do you get past that stuff?
It's hard, right? I've definitely have been fucked over in my career, right? Like by people that you thought you were good with, and then you learn you're not. I guess it's just time, man. Like you just move on, and you kind of think about what could I have done better? What could I have communicated better? What didn't I catch? Were there signs I was missing? Should I talk to someone else about this? Should I have not hired this person? Should I have not worked with this person? And you just move on, right? Like you kind of just like, look, integrity is a mandate, not a value, right? Like someone said that to me once. Like, breathing is a mandate, eating is a mandate. Like when you hear someone in an interview go, hey, what are your values? And someone's like, integrity is one of my values. Like, fuck that. Integrity is a mandate. Like mandate. So I'm kind of at the point in my life where if I feel that integrity in some sort of fashion has been breached or violated, I'm cool just moving on. I'm like, look, I have my values. I'm really passionate about my values. I know they stand for good things, and I'm not perfect and I fuck up. But like at the end of the day, if like those values aren't aligned, I'm good.
Yeah. Great. By the way, I'm kind of soaking it all in. And do you wish that that was your mindset in the beginning, or are you happy in some kind of way that you've gone through all these things?
Yeah, you kind of have to go through it. If you're like naturally like that, that's kind of crazy. Like you're probably like a cyborg. Right. It's just leadership development is just so much conditioning in life. So
yeah. And so obviously I know you're not satisfied. But what were some of the goals initially going into this that you think have maybe changed? Like, because obviously things are going to change and develop along the way. What are some of the initial goals you had that just completely went awry in this journey?
Nothing changed. Goals are exactly the same. I think the means of getting to the goals, some worked, some didn't work. Some were almost like life-threatening for the business, disastrous, a good 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the goals have always been the same.
And if you don't mind me asking, is there a major end goal you do have where, some of that satisfaction will be found?
Yeah, I think if we can be a successful, sustainable brand in this country, around the country, if not the world, sounds crazy, but we're at 40 locations today. We'll be at 54, 55 by the end of this year. To do it successfully is so key. And look, in my business, it's interesting. Like fast casual wasn't a thing, right? Like it was like Chipotle and Panera were like kind of the beginning of fast casual.
Right.
And then in mid 2000s, late 2000s, we started seeing more like Sweetgreen, Kava. I think Chop was early 2000s. We opened up in 2012. My goal has always been, hey, how do we be distinct from these guys? Like, I don't want to be a salad concept. I don't want to be a burger concept. We're a made-to-order stir-fry concept at the end of the day. You know, we sell 70% of our total sales is stir-fry, right? 12% is salad. So that's really our focus. Like, let's be better than everyone else at that. Why are you going to pass all these other fast casuals and go to Honeygrow? Well, you can get something you can't get there, right? And that's always been the focus. So continuing to do that over and over again, to have a differentiated model that consistently can deliver. And we don't bat 1,000. I actually receive every complaint. So
Really?
yeah, I every morning I look at our sales. I look at our aggregate reviews. We have a program for that, and I look at all the complaints that may have come in, which is probably gonna get me in trouble on this podcast. But
That's like
no, I do see it. It's like, shit, why is the wait time here 20 minutes? Like, what's going on? And like, you look for trends, like, right? Like sometimes they're not appropriately staffed. You have 3 call outs and the team is doing their best. Like there's not, you know, you have a great GM location. Like, okay, cool. I know what's going on, but you might have like over and over again the same complaints. Like, all right, well, we have a problem, right? And so you got to take action on that, which is key.
nice. And so curious as to what, like, so you kind of hit on what differentiates Honeygrow, but what are some pillars? What are some things that the company lives by when it comes to their workers, how the food's made, how you are as a brand? What are some things that Honeygrow like lives by, and some mantras you may have?
Yeah, what's a great term as pillars? Like, you know, look, like I'll start with the food. We have a freshly made egg white noodle, a freshly made whole wheat noodle, and I will not go buy some crap noodles, right? Like we could save millions of dollars if I went to a more generic noodle. Just that won't be who we are. It won't be the same brand, right? It's like taking out the special aspects of, I don't know, the iPhone, right? Like the things that make it great. Like you're
to make it cheaper for the
to
manufacturer,
increase your profit margin. Like there's other ways to do that. Like, and like we're in this business to really excite customers. Like that's the job. You know, taking care of the team, obviously, like having a great general manager is key to what we do. That general manager has the opportunity to become an elite general manager, which means that they built a team of like all-stars, and the team is creating future leaders. And we have gauges for that. So when a restaurant becomes an EGM restaurant, elite GM, they get paid more, they get a bonus. We celebrate it. The food tastes better. The costs are down. The sales are up. Like it just magic happens when you have a great leader in the 4 walls. So a lot of our time is spent on finding these folks, training these folks. You know, I think what Jocko says, right? Like there's no bad teams, only bad leaders. And that's so true. Like you have a great leader, you'll have a great team. Honestly, like if you have a bad team, you have a bad leader. Like I've heard a million, well, no, it's this person. Well, what is the leader doing about it? Why is this person still here? Oh, well, this person keeps showing up late, so they keep screwing up. Like, why is this person allowed to do that? You know, what are essentially like, what are you allowing happening in these 4 walls? So great leaders will like take charge, set the standard, push it, build great teams, coach these teams, get rid of low performers. And that's key to success for any business.
Okay, that's a great answer because I led right into my question. So what makes Justin Rosenberg a great leader?
I'm not a great leader. I don't consider
being
myself
humble definitely does. No, but that's like I said, like, so
I'm not a great leader. I've fucked up so much, and I think that, look, I think that part of what makes me successful, and I'm not just saying this, is that I at least have the humility to say I know what I'm good at and know what I'm not good at, and I've found some folks on my team who can fill those gaps and do a wonderful job, and I fill their gaps and vice versa. So I think being able to build a team and look at things very objectively is key. I'm definitely not the kind of guy that's like, I'm more of an introvert. I'm not the guy like running, giving this fucking pepper out. Like I'll speak when I have to speak, but I really enjoy having honest conversations with people. I'll say it how it is. At the end of the day, it's all about the bucks, right? Like, you know, look, if the money's not coming in, is it a sales issue? Are we not executing right? Is it a profit issue? Is it a food cost? Is it a labor issue? And I'm always there to support my team no matter what. Like I'm always there to be there. I have their backs, but I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to push them. We don't have a big team. You know, we have a very small team relative to our sales volume. We're going to do over, $100+ million in sales this year. The size of my team, my office, in the office at any given time, 16, 17 people. We don't need a big group. Like we have a group of people that work their asses off, quality folks. And, I'm a firm believer. You don't need big teams like Warren Buffett, right? Like he has a tiny team of people in, where is he? In Oklahoma? Oklahoma, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but somewhere in the Midwest. And look at him. He's one of the richest humans on the planet. So it's good.
Yeah, I always say, it only takes 3 people to take the world over. And that's just the way I've been trying to.
He's in Omaha, Nebraska. Sorry. Yeah, just hit me.
Yeah, no, but and that's actually a great point too. When you see Twitter let off, their X got rid of so many employees, and then they're still doing great. So, so when it comes to team building, when did you realize that was key? Because a lot of times, I'm sure a lot of leaders think that it needs to be just ran through themselves, but obviously having a team and creating, giving yourself more bandwidth is huge. So when did you realize that, like, how important the team is for you?
I'd say when I opened the first restaurant, I was the general manager of the first location. Well, I had a general manager who I unfortunately fired for several reasons. And it was a crazy time. It was, summertime 2012. My wife's about to give birth to her second kid, just left a good job. And I'm taking this risk on this concept that's never been done before. And I'm literally running this place day and night, freaking out. And I quickly realized how important the team is. We were going to open then Bala Cynwyd, our second location, first one being in Center City, 16th Street. So I hired a new GM, and I'm like, look, I'll train you real quick. Barely trained her. And she was better than me. She was great, Laura Kim. So shout out to Laura. She was a fantastic OG Honeygrow person. She ran that location. I opened the second one, hired the team, ran it, etc. And you just know, like, look, think about your favorite Eagles, right? Like, think about like the Sixers. I mean, it's like Embiid can't do everything, right? Maxey can't do everything. You need a great coach. You need a great group. Like, the team fit is so important. When I'll just say it, like when we had Harden, the fit, I don't think from my perspective,
it wasn't a fit at all.
Right, wasn't there, right? Like, okay, so he's doing good in the Clippers now. That's awesome. But like when he was in Philly, you just knew that vibe wasn't there. Now you could just see like there's like this gel, and it's awesome.
Even so I'm a huge Sixers fan as well. My dog, we have a mini golden doodle at my mom's house, and we named him Maxie.
That's awesome.
So like it's cool because it is cool to see, like, you see Maxie becomes an all-star this year, and awesome. Even Kelly Oubre had a resurgence in his career, and obviously Embiid towards meniscus, which sucks, but like he just dropped 70. Like, it's cool to see the fit, see stuff that fits. And speaking of fit, I mean, I'm sure your family is, from what it sounds like, you mentioned your children. How many children you have now?
Got 3.
3. Well, congratulations on a happy, healthy family. And how long you been with your wife for?
We've been together now for over 20 years.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, we met in 2003 and got married, and yeah.
That's so cool. And so, also really curious about this because obviously, you're taking a huge risk, right? And you have your wife, and I'm sure she's like, Justin, why are you taking this risk right now? We should. So what was her mindset going into this, and how, was she supportive? Was she a little bit hesitant? Like, how did that process? What was that like?
My wife is the most supportive human you'll ever meet, and quite frankly, the unsung hero of this company. When I was getting my ass kicked pitching investors for that 2-year period, coming home totally deflated and like, why am I trying? What am I doing? She's like, no, just keep going. Like, you'll get it. It's like super positive, super cool. I'm lucky like that, where my wife's awesome. And like, we've been together since college, so we know everything about each other, I think. But like, no, but like, we've just been through so much together through the years. College, having kids, ups and downs in our relationship, like anyone would have. And we love each other very much and love our families. So, there were times like when I opened 16th Street, the first one, I was like, I don't know if this is going to make it. We were losing money every month. Just getting my ass kicked, tired, and I'm opening a second location, which I convinced my investors to do a suburban and urban location. I had the lease for Bala Cynwyd on my desk at home, and my office was our bedroom. We lived in an apartment, whatever, and I didn't have an office, right? I'm just running restaurants. And lease on my desk, and one of my partners was like, are you sure you want to sign this considering all the challenges you have? And I was writing him back, I think maybe we should wait to sign this because of X, Y, and Z. My wife's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just writing so-and-so this email. I think I'm going to hold on Bala. And she's like, don't fucking do that. You're out of your mind. It's going to work. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I deleted it and wrote like good to go, signed it. And I'm like, I hope this works. But if not for Bala Cynwyd, this whole thing wouldn't work, because Bala is where we really validated Honeygrow. remember the day we opened Bala Cynwyd, it was like yesterday. We had a record sales day close to record sales day for the company.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, like this is going to work. Cool.
That's awesome.
This is going to work. And just kept pushing.
That's awesome. It's a little random fun fact. I used to sell insurance for 3 months with New York Life, and this wasn't for me personally. And a lot of my meetings I had were at that Honeygrow.
That's awesome.
About Kingwood. So hopefully I contributed some of the sales.
Thank you.
No worries. But yeah. And so what? So you're started off. So where do you, in terms of growth and expansion, obviously you won't be all in all 50 states, but do you have any markets that you feel like like, do you feel like your demographic, your market, do you feel like there's any markets that are out there in the country that you think you would really do well in?
That we're currently not in?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're in 7 markets now. So we're in Boston, Philly, New York, Pittsburgh, Delaware, Jersey, Baltimore Metro, DC Metro. If I didn't name one, I'm sorry. But, you know, we really figured out who we are and what we should do and shouldn't do in terms of real estate and geography and deals we do and deals we don't do. We're in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, does well. We're in Brooklyn Heights, does well.
Awesome.
So, like, you know, I feel like we just need to continue growing where we know we can have some brand awareness first. It's one of the mistakes I made early on was too many markets at once. It's like starting something from scratch each time. It's just impossible for that to really work. The strategy today is to continue growing kind of like in concentric circles where you have some brand awareness and you can build the sales and you do it right. So I'm confident we can open this around the country, right?
Yeah.
I think California certainly scares me with just the challenges in that market, but not to say we wouldn't get there eventually.
Yeah. And so, like, how important was it for you to learn your brand identity to start? Because I know a lot of people want to do so many different things, and you kind of get yourself, you know, caught up and people are like, what is this? Like, how quickly did you realize like you want to be like stir fry and that's like the lane you're gonna hit? And obviously having the honey and the like those little dessert bowls that
honey bars.
Yeah.
The identity for the company never changed. It was like, this is what we're doing. I thought we would probably skew a little bit more towards salads. I thought it'd be 60-40, not this ratio that I mentioned. I mean, stir-fried to salad is actually 85-15 from those two variables. That surprised me a bit, but at the end of the day, it's like, again, like we want to be differentiated. I don't want to be another like poop and scoop bowl concept. They're all over the place. Some are awesome, some are not. And again, I don't even want to be in that category.
Yeah,
so how do we
differentiate? And I definitely don't think you are, just by the quality of the food in itself. And and so, you know, when you clock out and you're off the clock, I know we talked a little bit about jujitsu and stuff like that and reading. Is there anything you do to turn your brain off or to keep yourself inspired? Because I'm sure, you know, you've been doing this for a long time, and I'm sure after a while you can get. I mean, obviously, if you love it, you're still gonna be fueled, but there's gonna be times, you know, when there's always a lull and everything. Yeah. So, like, what do you do to keep that momentum going and when you're off the clock?
Yeah, for sure. So, I meditate every morning for 20 minutes. I took a class in transcendental meditation a couple of years ago, which profoundly like changed my perspective and calm. And it's really important as a leader to kind of keep your shit together. So It's been very helpful. I work out every morning. If I'm not working out at home, I'm at jiu-jitsu in the mornings. Shout out to Balance Studios here in Fishtown.
Oh, nice.
The Miglerese brothers are monsters, and really enjoy training there. Trev obviously knows them well.
Yeah.
Really great guys, really great gym. Been training there on and off since 2018. COVID happened, so I took 2 years off, which sucked, and then back at it. So really just for 1 hour, you are not thinking, you're grappling and you're flowing, and then you go home and do your homework. Like, cool, what didn't I do right? What could I do better? And you're building on foundations, which is beautiful. I play guitar. I'm a lead guitar player.
Oh, really?
So I was in a band for a little bit, and nice. I just jammed at a recording studio over the weekend, which was great.
Oh, nice.
And the other one is reading. Like, I read a shit ton. I love reading, quiet time, reading, key, and family. You know, nice. I got 3 kids, awesome. got a wife, got a dog. We have a big golden doodle. She's like 70 pounds.
Oh, wow.
She's a big one, but yeah, that's really it.
Those are the best dogs ever. I love golden doodles so much.
She's great.
And so I know this is a very tricky question, but I'm just also as curious as well, just kind of get an insight a little bit into who you are. Do you have like a regimented week, or is it very all over the place? So what would a normal week for Justin, a CEO, look like for you?
Yeah. So I usually schedule things out 2 to 3 weeks, at least. My Mondays are office days here in Center City. We're Broad and Walnut, but we used to be here in Fishtown back in the day.
Yeah.
Just during the pandemic, I'm like, we don't need an 18,000 square foot facility anymore. So
Yeah.
we relocated back to Center City. You know, basically Mondays are meetings, right? So I have marketing. We have where to begin? HR, going over stuff from the previous week, going over various stuff on the finance side. Tuesdays at 8:30 every Tuesday morning, we do a finance call with department heads and all of our district managers, going over every single restaurant for the week, looking at how it did, performance, what we could do better, looking at reviews for each one of them, food costs, labor costs, etc. Followed by today, I had a little lull, so I was able to come in here, which is great. But later this afternoon, I mean, it's going to be real estate meeting, it's going to be department head meeting, a leadership meeting, a second marketing meeting for something separate, and then by 6 o'clock I could actually start doing things.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm in the restaurants all day, which I'm very excited for, and also looking at some new sites.
Nice.
Thursday, supply chain, followed by some tastings in the morning, and then restaurants. Friday I'm actually going to be in Boston. We have 2 locations there and opening up many more, so I'll be flying up in the morning, meeting with my team, checking out the sites that we're trying to lock down and finish with development, and then meeting with somebody who wants to invest in Honeygrow that night, dinner with my regional director, and I fly back Saturday morning. So that's the plan.
That's awesome. And I mean, running that schedule back, how, like, do you ever take time to like look and just think like, wow, like how much progress you've made since because when you first started this business, and how like your schedule is so centered around what everything you've accomplished? Is there something you think about? Obviously, I know you're in grind mode, but do you ever like reflect at all?
I hate to give like a shitty answer. Like I've been in grind mode for 15 years, and it's like, it's good and bad, right? Like my wife often says like, you need to like stop, look at what's been accomplished and be proud of it. And she's right. But I just have this thing where like, we're not even close to where I want to get this thing to. And I'm not in a position in my life where I want to be yet. And like, I haven't sold a share of Honeygrow. So like, even though we raised a lot of capital, I never sold to anyone. So I still own what I own. And like, I could have made a lot of money early on. One of my partners made, I think, $5 million in 2 years or 3 years. I could have done that. I haven't. Like, I pay myself fine, right? But like, you make money in this game by building up the value of the company and really through valuation, incrementally getting better. So, no, I haven't done that. So that's important. And my focus is the long-term wealth and building, something for my family.
Yeah.
But we just keep reinvesting money into building more restaurants. Like we haven't, that's, everyone's like, oh dude, like, you must be a billionaire. I'm like, nope. I'm like, no, we just take all this cash and put it back in the business so we can build more.
Yep.
Which is really why we can do what we do.
That's what makes people think you're a billionaire.
I'm not,
because you keep investing back into it. You're doing the brand. It keeps speaking for itself.
That's right.
And so I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this. So you mentioned your schedule and how crazy it's been. Obviously, all of these things are learned. Learning to have a leadership meeting and I'm sure things you picked up along the way. Are there any mentors that you've had in your life that have really helped fuel you, motivate you, and keep you going and help you and guide you?
Yeah, there's been many. For certainly my dad, my grandfather. When I was a kid, they had a small business in Brooklyn. It was literally, they would like buy steel drums and recondition them and sell them to like the parks department in New York City.
Oh wow!
So as a kid, summertime, I used to work for my dad, my grandfather, doing deliveries throughout the 5 boroughs. Certainly some other folks along the way, some professors. David Robkin, who's our first investor. He's always a great coach along the years. Some other people too, but yeah, I mean, I always seek counsel. I always seek advice. I don't know what I don't know. I think anyone that thinks they know better is just an idiot. It's like, it's a sign of stupidity almost to be that arrogant and think you don't have more to learn. It's just, life is so short and there's infinite things you could be learning. I tell my kids this all the time, and I see this almost like it's not just a generational thing, but it could be, where everyone's addicted to screens, right? Like when I was a kid in the 90s, that's like the old guy, but like, you go outside and fuck around and you would be bored. And I was thinking about this morning, I was waiting for the elevator. Like I wasn't bored. I took my phone out, right? And started like reading the news or catching up on emails. Like, I think there's something to be said about being bored. And like, that's when creativity happens. You're like, cool. Like, they're thinking, right? And that's where meditation is cool too, because for 20 minutes you're just out. Or jujitsu, like you're like that moment where your brain is a bit shut off can lead to those moments of creativity. Boredom can lead to that creativity, which for entrepreneurs, like that's key. Like your job as entrepreneurs to create and execute, right? And to really be like have a vision and get it executed. So I think that's a huge issue. My kids, me too, right? Like I'm always like, get off my phone. I think I average about 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day on my phone, which, it's under average, sadly, but what the fuck am I doing for 2 hours on my phone?
Right,
It's like
right.
reading emails and checking social media, whatever.
I mean, but it's all part of work and business and where work is going, and with social media and technology now,
Sure,
it's naturally where it's going. But it's really cool that I find it really cool that you acknowledge that, because a lot of times people don't, and they don't understand that you need to have those times of for me it's the gym. Like I really just recently started doing ice baths every day.
Oh, nice.
And going to the gym when I can, and I just find it to where the ideas really flow, because you're so focused on one thing that my mind's all over the place all the time, and it's nice to like have those outlets where your mind is focused on one thing, because it kind of leaves room for everything else.
Well said. Do you like the ice bath?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And the first time I did it, I was in for probably 20 seconds. But then like the next time I did it for 2 minutes, and it's just like, cause I actually have a video of it. I'll show you later, but, we did it in my backyard, but what I found was so interesting is that my body was just in shock. Like I was like shivering, and then you just like, you calm yourself down, and you kind of sit in it, and and you just kind of overcome it. And it's just a cool feeling to me, like just being able to sit and overcome it, and just sit in the ice bath, and then you get out and you feel like you're a new human being, you know?
Do. It's awesome.
Yeah. And then, so you do ice baths a lot too?
Not a lot, but I've done it many times.
Yeah. There's so many benefits to it. Honestly, I recommend everyone do it. If you can, if you have the time to do it.
What temperature is your bath?
40.
That's cold.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
It's cold, because I remember I put like 3 bags of ice in it, and it's cold water, and let it sit over.
Bath, yeah.
It's as real as it gets.
I did one. It was like 55. I'm like, this is bullshit. And it was at a hotel, and there was another one that was like 41. And I remember like it hurting my bones. I was just like, this is hard. Like, I did it for about a minute. So 2 minutes is incredible. That's awesome.
My girlfriend did it for 4 minutes.
People do that. Yeah.
She's crazy. And it was funny. So in the video, she did it first, because I told her, I was like, I'm about to go do the ice bath. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, you won't do it. She's like, all right, bad. And put on a pair of shorts, went down and did it right away.
Badass. Your girlfriend's a winner.
Yeah,
awesome.
she's about to be a lawyer this summer, actually.
So she's going to Delaware, you said, right?
Yep, she's Delaware, yeah.
Oh, wow. So she's going to, wow. So I got rejected from law school 3 times.
No way.
My parents wanted me to be a lawyer, and thinking like, oh yeah, that's, kind of what you should do being a kid from Long Island and whatever. That's what your parents want you to be, a doctor or a lawyer. And I'm like, nah. I took the LSAT and bombed it. And then I bombed it again. And I wound up just by being nudged to still try. And like, that was kind of the vision for me. And I applied to like 30 law schools, and everyone rejected me because I bombed the LSAT. I took the GMAT, destroyed it. Like,
really
did phenomenally well. And I was actually going to go to NYU, but I couldn't schlep from NYU to Philly.
Yeah.
And Temple had that part-time program, and my Temple experience was phenomenal. So I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
That's so crazy. I didn't know you got denied from that.
I got denied. Yeah, that was also a humbling period. I didn't give a shit though, because I didn't want to go to law school. I was like, that's fine. Fuck 'em.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, so much to unpack there, but do you think that like you getting denied from there, did you take that as, okay, that's where life doesn't want me to go? Or you're just like, shit, I suck. Like, how did you take it? Like,
a mix of both. I remember like I just the LSAT for whatever reason, like I think it was like a post Penn State brain, where my brain probably was like beer and shit and stuff, and like not there. I don't know, like I just, for whatever reason, like I just couldn't get my head around that exam. I didn't really study for it. I mean, I had like some tutoring here and there, but like I remember like I was really determined to go to business school. And the truth is, like, I was passionate about business school because I really wanted to be an entrepreneur and master this stuff. So I studied hard for the GMAT, and it's like 7th grade math. That's not like, crazy, trigonometry or something.
Right.
And I did great. I was like, all right, cool. Like, got it. But a lot of it was the work involved, because I wanted to get into a school, good school.
What makes you enjoy being an entrepreneur so much? Like being so drawn to that. What drew you to that?
I think there's nothing more exciting than creating a product that people get excited about. And, you know, again, my favorite brands, right? Like some old school brands like Nike.
Yeah.
You know, you get excited about like sneakers from back in the day, or Apple. Like what is it about this computer that's so cool? Or this iPod. Remember when the iPod came out?
Yeah,
It must have been
the Nano. Because
Yeah.
I had a little light green iPad, the square one, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, that's awesome, right? You're creating a product that you're really excited about. Creating like a sustainable brand to me is something that like just makes me happy. And it's the same thing like creating music. Like there's something beautiful about that just, if you create a great piece, like it's just everlasting. So I think life's really short. You want to have your impact. I think, you know, like God's a creator, right? Like, you know, it's part of our DNA to create. And that's just what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. I just made a wedding song recently. I sang on it, and
Oh, yeah.
and it was cool just to hear, like, because I haven't done music in a little bit, and it's like, it's just, I find the process of creating something from nothing and having it mean something, I feel like like you kind of said, is one of the coolest things ever. It's like beautiful, just being able to do that. And as an entrepreneur and someone who has created a successful brand and business, is there anything outside of Honeygrow that maybe you'd want to get into or be a part of?
Yeah, for sure. I just can't talk about that yet.
Okay. So to be continued, we'll do another pod 5 years from now when it's a thing.
Sure.
No, but that's great. And also too, when it comes to, you can wrap up with this, but you know, for these young entrepreneurs, you know, like myself, or even someone who's younger, you know, is there something that some things you've learned that you think would really apply to help a young entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think a few things, right? Like I think you need to create something that's just so differentiated, and a reason why someone's gonna, if it's an app, right? Why are you gonna use this app versus that app, right? Like if you're gonna create the next Airbnb, what makes this better than Airbnb? Take accounting 101. Seriously, take accounting 101, understand business. You'll be surprised how many folks in business don't understand like revenue and expenses and like profit, right? Like, wait, but I thought I had this amount of money in my bank account. Like people run their business by the amount of money they have in their bank account. That's maybe fine for some folks, but like if you really want to create and scale a business, you got to know, like, you got to understand accounting 101. Like just understand this, like the P&L, the balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, all three are different. All three flow into each other. So it's really key. Resilience is going to be needed. It's a requirement for the job. Integrity is a mandate. No one's going to want to do business with you if you say one thing and do another. Mistakes are to be expected, and you are to make mistakes as long as they are not threatening to your life in the business. Never make the mistake again and move on. And honestly, I think a lot of folks, I see a lot of leaders not have the ability to empower their teams. And I've certainly had to learn to do that. And I make many mistakes, but I think it's key to find the right people to get on the bus. You share the vision, you share the destination, and great people will figure it out. Like you got to tell them the ends, they'll figure out the means. And then you got to like coach them and swoop in, swoop out, but not, you can't be the guy for everything. And that was something I had to learn years ago, which is key.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure.
And being able to chop it up. And like I said, you're a busy man, and you've done a lot, and it was really cool to learn and be able to pick your brain. Cause like I said, like being an aspiring entrepreneur, like it's stuff like that is really exciting to me, because I always find that there's some of the people you surround yourself with, and
Sure.
And being able to learn from someone like yourself is really humbling. So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Dude, anytime. Thank you. Thank you for being persistent with me. I'm like all over the place. So nice job.
No, it's good. It's okay. I mean, I appreciate it. And like I said, if you guys like Honeygrow, I mean, you guys already know, go check it out. I mean, there's how many locations do you have in Philadelphia?
In Philly, I think it's 17, like in the metro area.
Yeah.
Give or take. Yeah.
Nice. So there's 17 locations you can go. And I'm super excited to see where Honeygrow goes. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, guys. This is Kev Nichols. Hope you guys enjoyed watching The Loft. It's Justin Rosenberg, CEO and founder of Honeygrow. Peace, guys.